AMD just launched the long-awaited RX 6700 XT, their answer to Nvidia for the mid-range GPU segment. But is this new graphics card a compelling option over something like an RTX 3070 or 3060 Ti? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on, guys? Danny here. Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you've all been doing well. Today, AMD held their third episode of Where Gaming Begins. These are essentially big announcement events or streams AMD's been holding, where the first one was about their Ryzen 5000 series, and the second showcased their high-end RX 6000 series GPUs, like the RX 6800 XT, based on their latest RDNA 2 architecture. This stream was rather short, only around 15 minutes or so, as it was just Scott Herkelman talking about their newest addition into the RX 6000 family of GPUs. So getting into the meat and potatoes of the event, AMD had only announced one new graphics card today, and this new GPU is the RX 6700 XT. Now, I was a bit surprised to see them only announce one new graphics card. I thought they would have announced more GPUs such as the RX 6700 non-XT, at least two GPUs, which would have been the more cut-down Navi 22 chip. Though I'm not too sure as to the reasoning of this. Perhaps it may just be due to limited volume. They're just focusing on one SKU and then quietly release an RX 6700 down the road. So taking a quick look at the specs, the 6700 XT has 40 compute units, 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, a game clock of 2424 MHz, and a TDP of 230 watts, which is slightly on the higher side. I was expecting this card to probably have a TDP of around 210 watts, 200 watts, but I mean, that's not a huge deal these days. Now, with the RX 6700 XT, AMD said their goal was to target 1440p, as this is a segment that seems to have become very popular over the years, and that makes sense. As a 1440p gamer myself, this resolution, in my opinion, is the best middle ground between attaining high performance while getting a great visual experience. It's a nice bump over 1080p, meanwhile isn't as nearly performance tax heavy as 4K is. Hence, you see a lot of manufacturers delivering 1440p monitors with panels sporting greater than 100Hz. Along with the fact that you can find 1440p 144Hz monitors for as low as around $250 makes them very enticing. It's honestly the sweet spot in my opinion. As for performance compared to current generation options from their competitor, the RX 6700 XT for the most part beats the RTX 3060 Ti by a considerable margin, and then trades blows with the RTX 3070. Remember, the RTX 3060 Ti offers performance just slightly higher than a 2080 Super, and the 3070 is more or less tied with a 2080 Ti, if you wanted to look at this from a previous gen perspective. There is one game such as AC Valhalla where it's significantly ahead of both those GPUs, so that might be AMD showcasing a title which, their GPUs are heavily favored in, and in one case it loses by a decent margin to both of those graphics cards, which is Watch Dogs Legion, where Nvidia is more favored. But overall, judging from what I'm seeing here, the performance of the RX 6700 XT looks pretty good. Though of course, I recommend waiting for third-party independent reviews to validate this. Plus, if they had smart access memory enabled, that was probably boosting the performance a bit higher. And I suspect when we see a bigger benchmark suite from reviewers, the RX 6700 will probably sit in between the RTX 3060 Ti and 3070, with it being more closer to the 3070 on average, so we'll have to wait and see. Now, being based on AMD's latest RDNA 2 architecture, the same microarchitecture as its bigger brother like the RX 6800 XT, this means that the 6700 XT will support all those same performance-enhancing features like Fidelity FX, variable rate shading, ray tracing, Radeon anti-lag, and more. Many of those features do have to be implemented on a game-by-game basis, but it's great to see these kinds of options be available to the user to boost their FPS, attain a better experience, and get the most out of their hardware without having to dive into, volatile areas like overclocking. Especially performance-enhancing features that can, boost performance in competitive titles. I see that as a win all around. Along with that, it supports resizable bar, allowing the CPU to have full access to the GPU memory, which in theory can improve performance, although it does vary on the title. In addition, they've announced that Smart Access Memory will be supported on Ryzen 3000 Zen 2 processors, which is great news. There was honestly not a whole lot of reasons for them to make it exclusive for the Ryzen 5000 series, except for, greed, when those older parts were completely capable of supporting the new tech. Plus, Intel, I believe, is supporting it as far back as Coffee Lake, and with, older chipset boards. So I was happy to see them bring this to the older gen CPUs, and Zen 2 owners can and look forward to attaining more performance with the latest generation GPUs, not just with the RX 6000 series, but with Nvidia as well, which will also be, bringing this feature to the RTX 30 series. In fact, the 3060, which was just recently released and had hit store shelves, and the Ampere laptop GPUs already support resizable bar. So the 6700 XT offers some cool features, has competitive performance. So how much is it going to cost and when will it be available? The 6700 XT will have an MSRP of around $480 and will be available on March 18th, which isn't too far from now. The same day, you'll have custom partner models hitting store shelves, and system integrators will be offering custom built PCs with this new GPU as an option. With the announcement of the price, this is where I feel like things got a bit dicey. I felt like the price was a little bit too high. At $480, it's just too close to an RTX 3070. While performance looks to be competitive, there are many reasons why someone would consider paying a bit extra and getting an RTX 3070. Oh, and by the way, I know right now MSRP and these prices probably don't mean jack shit, considering these cards will be hitting store shelves and with retailers jacking up the prices several hundreds of dollars. But, let's just pretend for the sake of comparison that things were normal. Being so close to an RTX 3070 doesn't make it all that compelling, because for a bit more, you can get a graphics card which will give you more or less the same rasterization performance, give you better ray tracing performance, which has been established that Ampere is just, in a whole nother league. You've also got DLSS, where many games are adding support for these days, and, will continue to do so. Which, while we're on the subject, I was really hoping that AMD would have finally talked about their Fidelity FX Super Resolution tech, which is supposed to be a direct competitor to DLSS, but they didn't, which means it'll probably still be a long ways from now, and that is quite disappointing to see. Not to mention, with Nvidia having a great encoder for streamers, which I tested a while ago and found performance hit was, basically negligible for streamers, and, other CUDA software integrations makes Nvidia Ampere GPUs just more desirable. I've gone over this in more detail in a previous video, so you can check that out if you're interested. The bottom line is that for $20 more, I recommend getting the 3070. Had AMD priced the 6700 XT at around $430, then I would have been a lot more lenient with it. Because at that price point, sure, you might not be getting the best ray tracing performance, but the rasterization performance would have been excellent. And that card would have been offering amazing value, because it would have been, a whole league faster than the 3060 Ti. And, with stuff like smart access memory, you could probably boost performance a bit more. And it would probably entice a lot of 3070 buyers to just skip it and then go with the 6700 XT, as they'd be saving quite a little bit of money foregoing, ray tracing. That is, if you don't really care about ray tracing that much, you're not a huge fan of DLSS, then it doesn't really matter to you. But at $480, it's just too close to the 3070 and makes it a tough sell. Also, with this GPU having 40 compute units, it's proof that it's a direct successor to the 5700 XT, which also had 40 compute units and was initially launched at $450 when everyone said that was too expensive, and then, AMD quickly ended up cutting the prices. So now I feel like they're just making the same mistake again. Though, like I said, with the current circumstances of the GPU market, right now none of this really matters. These cards are going to sell out instantly. Retailers will be selling them for well above MSRP. I mean, an RX 6700, which has an MSRP of around $580 US, is currently being listed for around $800 to $1,000, which is just insane. So in actuality, this GPU is going to be sold around $700 because of the crazy high demand from miners and scalpers. My advice, obviously, is that if you can wait and just weather out this garbage GPU market storm with what you have currently, then, that would be the best option. It's just not worth it for PC gamers to be buying these GPUs at such exorbitant prices, especially in the mid-range. So that is the RX 6700 XT. Good performance, just too overambitious with the price. I hope you guys found this video to be informative and helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out the video description on ways to support the channel and for my other videos. If you guys are interested in more content like this, then make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.